So, Chuckle Fucks, it's your boy Dark Right Goo here. Now, before I go on with this what if, I know that people are going to be like, what the fuck? Are you making another what if from what's called another My Hero Academia character? Well, mostly a villain character? Yes, I am. Because I love the villains. Literally, I just like the villain story much better than the hero story. Fuck the heroes. Except Aizawa. Aizawa is like basically the only hero I like because he's like realistic. He's basically my personality. Fuck this life. Mostly. But yeah, not the point. Also, before I go on, like I said last time, I'm not doing any crybaby what ifs, also known as Deku. I'm not doing any of those. I don't even do them on my first channel. I did them before, but then I just said, fuck it, I'll delete them. So I deleted all of those what ifs I did. I think I did like only 2 of them. I said, fuck it, I don't like them. And of course, I don't do Deku what ifs, so yeah. But of course, I would do villain what ifs instead, because I like mostly the villain side. Yeah, pretty much. And if Aizawa was a villain, that would be much better. Not the point. I'm rambling on. So this is called What If Issei Was a Reincarnation of Dabi. Now, before I go on, I know Dabi doesn't have an ice quirk. I know he has blue flame quirk called Cremation. But I'm gonna just say, fuck it. It would have been much more sense if he did have an ice quirk. Not really. Pretty much, I just like his blue flames. And it would be really fucking cool if he had like ice, but much more like if his ice was called Sub-Zero, like much more colder than what was that one guy's name? The Half-Half. I don't remember Half-Half's name. I just remember him being called Half-Half. But yeah, I haven't like. I think the last time I stopped reading What's It Called My Hero Academia was about a year ago. So yeah, I think it was a year ago. So yeah, I don't remember half of like the characters of My Hero Academia at all. I remember the villains because hell yeah. I don't know why I can't remember Dabi. It's just because it's just Dabi. I don't know his actual real name. I think his name was actual Tosho. So I don't remember. But of course, I don't care. Let me go into so what if. I know I'm rambling on. I know I should shut the fuck up half the time. But I don't care. Now, before I go on, I should mention the reason why I'm doing this what if today, and I should rather be studying, which I did study before I went to do this what if. But it's right now snowing outside, or mostly icing. It's raining and icing and snowing all at the same time, probably. But yeah, so I'm basically inside my house. And it's going to be icing, snowing, and raining the whole fucking day. I mean, it's already half the day, but yeah, it started since this morning. But other than that, let me shut the fuck up and go on with this what if. Okay, I think I'm really being really annoying with the butts, but not really. Okay, let me just begin. Pretty much Dabi is one of my favorite characters. So I mean, if I had to make a tier list with villains, Dabi is first, second is Shigaraki, third is Overhaul, and fourth, I guess All For One. He's kind of like a bootleg version of like Death Vader or Dark Vader, whatever it's called. Oh yeah, I call him Death Vader most of the time. Not the point. Okay, I'm going on rambling way too much. So let me begin. We begin into mostly a guy wearing a black coat, looking at, well, a site. A site covered up with police tape. Yellow police tape covering up a four-sided kind of, well, mostly four-sided kind of land. Now, the land inside of it has trees that barely are growing, like they're barely growing, because, well, some of the trees are kind of stained with this like dark kind of color. In the middle between those trees is a house, but no longer a house. Instead, the house seems to be burnt down, like seemed to be almost all of it burnt down. It looks like the house caved in and it started burning. It's all ash, black, and other stuff. Of course, there's like 4 pillars of the house still kind of holding up, but mostly those are stained with also the ash of darkness, mostly just dark ash. Of course, well, it seems that there seems to be some kind of crime scene of like a burning place, a burning house, unknown to anyone in this town. This is where, well, the figure just looks at it, grins, and walks away. This is where, well, he just grins and walks away. So yeah, we go into somewhat of a flashback, a memory that he remembers after looking at the site. He hasn't been here for he hasn't been here in this town for 14 years. It's been over 14 years. But we go into a flashback of 14 years ago. This is where, well, we begin into mostly a child kind of running up from, well, mostly running away from bullies. But at the same time, he was really hurt. He had bandages all over his body. He also had some burn marks. And of course, well, he was crying. Of course, his hair was a lightish brown instead of the one that's right now 18. Right now, lightish brown, had brownish eyes. Or mostly there were a tint of blue in them. But of course, well, he was crying. He didn't really want to go home. His parents were very abusive. This is where, well, he hated going anywhere. He hated his family. He hated everyone. This is where, well, he's just crying. Doesn't really want to go anywhere. This is where, well, he decides to go home. On this day of incident of his 4-year-old life would change forever. When he got home, he saw his mother right now kind of counting, well, not been counting, mostly kind of just there kind of drinking with her kind of husband. And of course, her husband is drinking and watching the TV. And this is where, when this kid walks inside, his two parents looked at him and kind of just scoffed at him. Mostly his mother scoffed at him. His father got up and said, "Where the fuck were you, boy?" This is where, well, the boy said, I was just at the office of, well, a nurse office. This is where, well, the older man says, "No shit. I got called from the school about you getting into a fight. Such a little shit like you doesn't belong. Well, doesn't need to fight. You're too weak and too idiotic." This is where, well, he mostly stumbled over all of his words because he looked like he'd been drinking like 6 or 10 packs of fucking beer because there's a lot of beer bottle around. This is where, well, the younger kid says, "No, wait, let me explain. This is where, well, he then gets smacked in the face by the beer bottle. The beer bottle does manage to shatter. And this is where, well, the younger boy got like scratches on his face. This is where, well, the kid like lands down the ground. And that was the most, well, mostly the painful thing he ever felt. He also felt like alcohol went into his eyes and also into his face, which started burning. This is where, well, the older man says, "Shut the fuck up." This is where he screams at the younger kid. "I already told you, don't fight at school, but what you do is do it anyway." This is where Issei, well, mostly the younger kid tries to explain. This is where, well, the older man says, "I told you, shut up or I kill you right now." This is where the younger kid cries. But this is where the older man says, "Shut up or I'll stab you right now." This is where, well, the younger kid says, "Please stop." This is where, well, the older man says, "Oh, talking back now, aren't we?" This is where he swings his hand down with the glass, mostly the shattered bottle, at the younger kid. The younger kid saw death. This is where, well, the kid says, No. He was about to die. He didn't want to die, but instead his eyes turned to bluish color. And this is where, well, something happened. This is where, when the bottle was actually coming close to him, right towards one of his eyes, that right now was good because it didn't actually got like alcohol or any like shards into his eyes, unlike his like, well, left side. This is where, well, he saw it. He didn't want to die. He wanted everything gone. This is where, well, he exploded. He ignited and combusted into blue flames, sending everything into ash out of anger and rage. This is where he says, "Die!" He right now swings his left hand straight to the older man, right now combusting his hand into blue flames, igniting the older man who had a darkish brownish hair. This is where he had glasses also. This is where his body was ignited, engulfed into flames. This is where, well, his bones were turned into ash. This is where the older lady right now screams at the younger kid. This is where the younger kid says, "All of you die!" This is where, well, he combusted more into blue flames, igniting this whole house and consuming it with blue flames, killing everyone that was inside it. This is where we now go into, well, back towards the present day. The older kid was right now walking. He right now had a face mask, so no one could see his face entirely. This is where, well, he had, well, mostly his not dark, mostly a light tealish blue eyes. But just looking around, his hair is black. Of course, this is where, well, mostly his hood covers up, mostly from his black coat. He had long sleeves, long dark sleeves that were kind of ragged. This is where he black pants and black boots are just kind of, well, on him. He had a white shirt underneath. This is where this white shirt wasn't loose. Looks to be a little bit kind of tight, but not much. Mostly to cover up his flesh. Mostly all of it was covering up his flesh and no one really saw his skin. But it seems to be pale from his hands. His face, you can't really see it that much. Thanks to a, well, mostly face mask. Mostly like a kind of Kakashi mask, if you want to think about it like that. This is where, well, we go into the older kid just walking. This is where, well, he was walking around the park. This is where, well, he looked all around. Keeps getting memories of the past, but just ignored them. Or almost like he burned every single memory he just remembers. Mentally just burned them, ignite them with a gulf of blue flames. This is where, well, the mostly older looking kid starts walking. This is where, well, he's walking around the park until for some reason he felt like some kind of barrier was put over the, what's it called? Well, mostly park. This is where a magic circle appears. There was a couple of people in the park, but only a couple. Mostly some females that were from some school, and some others that were from a different school, but yeah. This is where, well, the magic circle appears very bravely, trying to show off like it's from the supernatural. This is where, well, this older kid looks at it confusedly, but the circle seems to be like an orange yellowish glow. Of course, there was also a red one, and there was a white one. This is where some people managed to come through. There was also a blue one, but of course, this is where, well, what comes through was, from the yellow one comes through mostly a guy with golden hair and blue eyes. And of course, wearing this red suit. He's looking around the park scene, it's so beautiful. But he had this grateful kind of look. This is where, well, next, well, behind him also appears a bunch of people, mostly a bunch of female, into his group. And a girl who mostly seems to be like a queen of his or something like that. This is where, well, the blue circle appears. 2 people, mostly 3 people entirely. A person with blondish hair and bluish eyes, but of course had this look of fear a little bit. Of course, the other 2 were 2 females. One with longish hair and glasses and purple, well, mostly bluish. Well, yeah, wait, blue glasses, right? Well, she had long black hair with brownish eyes and blue glasses. The opposite from the other girl, kind of shorter from her, but of course had black hair into a bob cut or whatever, and of course had red glasses and had kind of like these reddish eyes. This is where they wear the school uniform, the same that the older kid kind of saw a while ago. Mostly like the uniform of, well, a school that he doesn't go to at all. He barely goes to any school. Mostly the school is called Kuoh Academy. This is where he can remember right. This is where the other circle was a red circle that appears a female with reddish hair. Another, well, mostly reddish hair and its tint of greenish and bluish eyes. This is where, well, she was wearing also the uniform. Another girl with kind of blackish hair and kind of yellowish eyes. Of course, she seems to be much more bigger than the red hair. Then there was a girl with white hair, goldenish eyes, and was smaller than both of them. A guy with blondish hair, bluish eyes, of course, seems like a gentleman. A girl with kind of bluish eyes and goldenish hair. This is where, well, she seemed very timid. But of course, there seemed to be like the full group. Then the last one, the white circle, appears. A female with whitish eyes and, well, mostly silver eyes and silver hair. And of course, wearing a maid outfit. This is where, well, the other kid seems confused, but seems to just walk past him. Without a care in the world. Now, of course, all of them were surprised that they accidentally teleport in front of someone that seems to not even bother to care that much. This is where, well, the older kid or older man that had kind of blondish hair with these kind of bluish eyes seems very greedy. And of course, this is where, well, he then kind of got annoyed by the lowlife that decides to walk past him and didn't care that much or care if a glance or anything. This is where, well, he gets annoyed and screams at the older kid, the guy who's kind of wearing this black outfit. Says, "You motherfucker! A lowlife like you should be bowing down towards me. Do you know who I am? I am Riser Phoenix." This is where he says so arrogantly and very loud that it hurt the guy's ears. This is where, well, the guy didn't say anything. Mostly just ignored him, kept walking. Well, turned around and ignored him, kept walking. This is where, well, Riser Phoenix got annoyed. This is where, well, mostly the maid female tries to stop Riser from doing something crazy. This is where Riser says, "I'll show you what a lowlife like you can do against me." He sends a scream, there's like fire from his hands, burning and engulfing the guy. This is where, well, mostly the white hair, now known as Grace screams out, "Riser, what are you doing?" Riser said, "This lowlife doesn't understand that I am Riser Phoenix. All these pathetic humans should know that the strongest devil here is alive." Swear, well, the red hair says, "You crazy son of a bitch." She is going to need to revive the mostly human into a devil, but she then thinks it might be a good idea, but then again, it was crazy for a Riser to do that. This is where, well, the black hair girl that was next to the red hair kind of glances, or mostly she had purple hair a little bit, but yeah, that's where she glances to the guy. He seemed familiar from somewhere. Very familiar for some reason. His eyes seem to have a tint of blue, but it was confusing. This is where, well, mostly the other three from, well, the two females and one guy, they just got on guard because Riser was going crazy. This is where, well, Riser was laughing until a hand shot out from the flames and grabbed him in the face. This is where Riser widened his eyes, and everyone did. This is where, well, the person's head kind of falls down to the, well, mostly to the back of him. His face mask is already burned off. His clothes don't seem to be burned at all. Instead, they seem to be fire resistant, except for the face mask. It was actually made out of cloth and it just burned, showing his, well, burnt face. His face, mostly under his eyelids, are burned, very, like, they're burnt flesh. This is where his mouth seems to be kind of, like, stitched up with burnt flesh also. This is where, well, this person kind of looks at Riser with these eyes of pathetic ass flames. Like, really? These flames didn't do jack shit to this person. Like, absolutely didn't do even a single bit of burnt damage at all. This is where, well, the person kind of just glances at the others, but of course still holding onto Riser's Phoenix face with all like 5 fingers. Of course, this is where, well, Riser was irritated and annoyed and actually confused in how this human lowlife survived. This is where the person kind of glances back at Riser. Seems to be the similar height as Riser also. He seems to be like 5'10" or even like 5'11" or something. But of course, he seems to also be probably 5'9". No one really could tell that much. This is where, well, this person said a couple words. Cremation, well, mostly combustion, cremation, burst. This is where, well, his hand combusts into blue flames, igniting it right into Riser's face. Boom! Right now, sending his face with bluish flames without a care in the world, igniting it. This is where, well, he then lets go off, well, Riser Phoenix from his face and just let him drop. Riser was right now down on the ground. His face is all almost burnt. Had about 3rd degrees burnt skin. Or even higher. Almost to be almost like 4th degrees. Of course, where well, the person looks at Riser with this look of weakling. This is where, well, the person puts his hand back into his coat and just walks away, putting back his black hood on top of his, well, hair and just walks away. This is where, well, everyone wanted their eyes. How powerful Riser Phoenix just got dropped like a little bitch. This is where, well, the most powerful Phoenix, the one that can survive any attacks, literally got his face burnt by stronger flames and can barely heal from his Phoenix, well, regeneration. His face is literally taking forever to regenerate. Of course, where, well, the red hair whined her eyes. She didn't expect the person to just survive a freaking close range flames from Riser and just survive and look like he didn't give a fuck, and then just grab Riser from the face and legit just send his own flames into Riser, and Riser could barely survive them. This is where, well, he could have accidentally made them just stay a little bit longer into Riser's head. Right now, probably burning off the regeneration or something. But of course, he just lets go of him because he didn't give a fuck. This is where he'd rather not kill some weakling, some pathetic weakling that doesn't really seem to interest him that much. This is where, well, he'd rather leave his face with an ugly ass scar than kill him, because killing him might actually regen his face. Well, in the afterlife to be in the same, but this, he'd rather make him have a fear of, well, having such an ugly face. But yeah, this is where, well, this person just walks away from, well, all of them. Just completely walks away. Didn't care about anyone. This is where, well, the black haired girl kind of now narrowed her eyes. Mostly that was next to the red hair. She seems to just narrow her eyes. Very, not coldly, but knowing who this person is. This is where, well, the person just walks away without a care in the world. Leaving the park. Well, trying to leave, but there was a force field. This is where, well, his hands ignited with blue flames. And this is where he punches the force field, shattering it. Right now making a hole, allowing him to leave. This is where, well, the white hair girl, mostly the silver hair female with the maid outfit, wiped her eyes, realizing that, well, the barrier was just shattered in one place. Now she has to regenerate so it doesn't shatter all of it. This is where, well, before she regenerates all of it, this is where blue flames engulf at the end of the park, shattering like half of the whole barrier. Right now making them all wind their eyes. This is where, well, clearly this person was already pissed and annoyed with supernatural beings just appearing out of nowhere and pissing off his day. This is where all of them has to now teleport or just go away from this park. This is where, well, the white silver hair girl kind of takes Riser Phoenix because, well, first of all, he's knocked the fuck out. He is, ooh, his face is gone. His regeneration is taking forever to regenerate. This is where, well, mostly her eyes are kind of reddish, and of course the black hair, purple shirt girl with long hair kind of decides to go with her kind of, well, king or something. This is where, well, they all disappeared after a while. But this is where, well, the dark haired boy walked away, kind of having this small grin and saying such pathetic beings. This is where, well, he then remembers when he kind of glances toward them, he didn't actually recognize any of them, except one person. The dark hair girl with reddish eyes. Well, mostly like a reddish kind of violet eyes. This is where, well, he kind of noticed her for a while, but this is where he didn't say anything. He kind of just said under his breath, "So, you're here. It's been a while." This is where, well, he grins and then just walks away. This is where, well, we go back into the school of Kuoh Academy. Now, of course, where, well, the white-haired girl, who is now known as Gracie, kind of just takes Riser Phoenix and his Parage back to the Underworld. And needing to go to the Underworld's hospital because, well, Riser Phoenix hasn't woken up, he might be traumatized. Literally, he might be traumatized. He just got his ass beat by someone who literally just kicked the shit out of him. Or didn't even beat the shit out of him, ignited his hands, engulfing his face with blue flames. This is where, well, Rice's Parage is fearing for their life because this person could have easily ignited all of them with blue flames without a care in the world, but he decides to just walk away. This is where, well, Gracefully kind of tells mostly the red hair known as Rias Gremory and mostly the black hair from the other symbol of the blue magic circle known as Sona Sitri, kind of tells him to be careful and not to piss off maybe the human mage or whatever he was. Because, well, she didn't even sense one bit of magic from him. Not even one bit. He just ignited his hands with blue flames and didn't give a fuck. So, of course, told him to be careful. This is where when Gracefully left, and of course, with Riser's, peerage, she, mostly Rias Gremory, kind of glances at her best friend, known as Sona. This is where, well, Rias kind of says, do you know any information of that boy? Just where Sona says, I'm stumped. I don't know who he is. Clearly, he looks to be just either homeless or just kind of going through Kuoh, Kuoh town. He might be just from a different town and just decided to came here for reasons of unknown. He looked like a gangster, not gonna lie, Sona said. This is where, well, Rias thinks about it, and yeah, he might have seemed like some kind of thug, some kind of gangster, some kind of maybe just traveler, something homeless or anything like that. But he seems way too powerful. He should have been at least like, probably like a gangster lord or something like that. This is where, well, they still are very confused with him, but don't say much, mostly just walks away. This is where they think about it, but this is where, well, Sona said, well, me and the council members have to go back just to check on something. Maybe we can find information from other schools, but maybe he hasn't been to school or anything. I don't know. We will try to help you, Rias. I see that look, and you're telling me to find him so you can try to make him a part of your kind of group. Problem is, what happened if he ignites his hands with blue flames and tries to kill your group? You realize he looks like the type of person, if he tries to be a servant, he looks like he probably will kill its master in an instant. Rias, don't be too dumb, but I will try to help you, but I won't tell you to kind of go get him. This is where Rias nodded, saying, okay. This is where she looked at her own Parage, and this is where she kind of looks at all of them. This is where, well, she looks at her queen named Akeno and says, Akeno, you seem to be much more quieter than anyone. Do you know anything about him? This is where, because she glanced at her queen and realized that her queen isn't very, like, what's it called, very seductive or anything, or kind of having this evilish grin or anything. Or saying my to Rias that you might have liked someone new. This is where, well, Akeno is staying really quiet. Her face is kind of, well, mostly doesn't look to be the same. Mostly it looks to just having a memory of something. This is where, well, Rias says, Akeno. This is where we go into Akeno. Akeno remembers something. Remembers something about her past life before she turned into a devil. This is where she was the daughter of a fallen angel and her mother was a human. And of course, one day happens of what's it called, mostly something happened with her and her mother. Mostly they were being chased down and attacked by people from the temple from mostly her mother's side. And of course, screaming at her for marrying a fallen angel and blah, 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 blah. This is where, well, Akeno's mother tries to protect Akeno, saying, I won't let you kill my daughter. This is where, well, Akeno was scared and hiding behind, well, her mother. This is where an older man says, you married and gave birth to that creature. He points behind, mostly Akeno's mother, and towards Akeno. This is where Akeno's mother says, she's not a creature. She's my child, and I don't hate her. She's mine. And I won't let you kill her. And this is where, well, the older man says, you dare talk back to your father like that. The older man said. This is where, well, Akeno's mother is right now trying to put both of her hands out and say, I won't let you. You won't hurt her. This is where, well, the older man said, fine. kill them both. This is where, well, multiple people are rushing past the older man, going straight towards Akeno and Akeno's mother. Akeno closed her eyes and being kind of held tightly by her mother until someone says, "Kuh, such weaklings. Daring to try to kill those of 2 females and a daughter. You're all quite pathetic." This is where, well, he swings his hands right in front of him, right now protecting Akeno and Akeno's mother being right in front of him. This is where all the older men were confused seeing a boy no older than Akeno. This is where, well, the kid seemed to have black hair. His skin seems to be a little bit kind of burnt and kind of stitched up a little bit. This is where he had kind of piercings in his ear. This is where, well, he says, "Well, I'm no hero, I'm no vigilante, I'm no anti-hero, mostly, but I am a villain. But yet, I can see that you people are more monstrous and villain than I am. Cremation, combustion, annihilation, blue flames." This is where his hand explode with blue flames, destroying and murdering and everything, consuming everything in front of him. Right now, killing off all the temple guards or assassinators. This is where the older man managed to jump away and hide behind mostly the building that was in the alleyway, mostly the 2 buildings that kind of made the alleyway. He managed to run, and this is where when he looked inside, he sees Akeno and Akeno's mother just being there. Of course, both of their eyes are closed, but seeing the boy right in front of them. But of course, not having his hand right in front of them, mostly his hand to the other side, killing off or murdering the leftover assassins. Right now, kind of shooting blue flames from his fingertips. This is where, well, the older man says, "Who are you and what do you want?" This is where, well, Akeno's mother kind of opened her eyes, and even Akeno. This is where, well, they look at the mostly the younger kid that looks no older than Akeno herself. This is where, well, the older kid says, or mostly the younger kid says, "Me? I don't know. But you can call me Dabi. And I won't let you hurt people just because of who they are. It pisses me off. And that I would just kill you off. You remind me way too much of my past life. So I'll just have to kill you off." This is where the younger kid kind of rushes at the older man. The older man right now swings a blade. But of course the blade was grabbed and melted by the kid. Okay, that scared the shit out of me. I thought that was like a train or something, but yeah, sorry about that. If you heard that, that was a train. Let me go back into what. Sorry about that. This is where, well, not the creek. The kid grabbed the sword and right now kind of started melting it. This is where the older man widened his eyes until his face was grabbed. And this is where the kid says, "Goodbye, older man," or "Go to hell, older man." This is where, well, he didn't really know the old man's name. And this is where, not older man, he says, "Old fart." Boom! It combusted his face with blue flames, killing him off. Right now, only his, body was intact. Most of his head, brains, and even skull was all just burnt and destroyed in an instant. This is where the older woman wiped her eyes, sees the kid right now over her father's dead body. This is where, well, Akeno was wiping her eyes. The kid turns around and said, "What are you people doing here? Scram already. I don't have time to protect such people. I am no hero. I am no anti-hero. I'm a villain. Now go. Or do you want to die?" This is where, well, his hand combusted with blue flames. Right now showing that he's a threat and doesn't care of anyone's side. This is where the older lady right now grabs Akeno and runs away. This is where, well, Akeno, that's all she remembers from her past life. This is where, well, she didn't kind of realize that, well, she's being shaped by Rias, and this is where Akeno said, "What do you want, Rias?" This is where, well, Rias got pushed, and this is where she kind of widened her eyes. She never thought that Akeno would push her. This is where Akeno said, "Oh, sorry about that, Rias. Sorry, I was thinking about something. Please, I'm sorry." This is where Rias says, No, it's fine. Sorry about kind of, well, shaking you." This is where everyone widened their eyes when seeing Akeno unstable and kind of daydreaming a little bit. This is where they think she's in love. No, she's just remembering something. This is where, well, Rias says, did you fall in love with him? This is where, well, Akeno says, no. I just remember something about my life, about my mother, about someone that saved me. Because before we met Rias. This is where, well, Rias says, wait, so you know who he is? Is he a devil or is he... No, I can't tell if he's the same person. Because the person I remember was a kid, similar age to me. And this person seems to be probably the same age as us. This is where Rio blind her eyes. This is where, well, she then kind of remembers hearing a story that when Akeno was a little bit younger, with Ria's same age or something, I don't remember. But of course, this is where, well, Akeno did tell her about a boy helping her, of course, being the similar age as her, being the same height, but at the same time being as powerful with using blue flames to his command from his, well, hands. But of course, this is where, well, Rias kind of nodded her head. She then says, so do you think it's the same boy? This is where, well, Akeno says, I don't know. I don't know. This is where, well, Rias says, if you want to, you can go home. I don't mind. If it's something that you don't want to remember about your past life and about your mother, then you can go home. I can look for a well. I can do it by myself, and we can also do it ourselves. Mostly she points out the others. This is where Akeno says, I would like that. This is where Akeno decides to walk away. Mostly going back to her house. She's not like teleporting there. She's actually just walking. And she's like getting out of the school and of course just walking around. She went mostly to like forest side mostly. She didn't really go to her house. Or well, she did. She was going to her house, was mostly in apartments that she lives in. But of course, this is where, well, she's sighing, she remembers it. She wants to thank the boy a lot. She really wants to thank him. This is where, well, Akeno's walking. This is where, well, she is about to get to her apartment until mostly someone walks beside her. This is where, well, when Akeno turns around to see who was walking beside her, it seems to be this older kid with a black hood and similar outfit towards that time, mostly when Ricer got fucked up. This is where, well, Akeno thinks, nah, it can't be. This is where, well, he kind of goes up towards mostly not the front office, mostly to the stairs. Or, well, mostly there was an elevator, but it was out of order. So, of course, Akeno and mostly this person just starts walking up the stairs. Of course, the kid seems to not even bother looking at her. Mostly, this is where Akeno is right now too much in thought. And, of course, this is where she missed, well, mostly her step from the stairs and decides to slip on accident. This is where she realized she was about to fall until her hand was grabbed in an instant. This is where, well, she winds her eyes and then looks up. The older kid says, are you okay? This is where, well, she kind of glances up and sees a bit of his face. The same face that was shown against Ricer, when mostly thinks of Ricer burning off his face mask. This is where his eyes are the same color as that day. This is where Akeno says, you're that kid. This is where, well, the person looks at her with these cold eyes. This is where the person was about to just let go of her and just walk forward. But this is where she grabbed his arm and says, wait, I want to thank you so much. You were the one to actually, well, let me survive when I was younger. Thank you. This is where, well, the other kid says, or mostly the same young age boy, similar towards, well, Akeno says, huh, you think I did that for you? This is where, well, or did you forget what I said? I did this for only me and only training, testing out my powers that day. This is where Akeno says, no, you're lying. You did this because you wanted to be, well, helpful or something. This is where the older kid says, no. This is where, well, not Rias, Akeno says, please stop lying to me. I just want to thank you. Please, let me help you. This is where, well, mostly she looks at the scars that, well, most of the kid has. This is where, well, this kid says, you can't help me. My burns are my own cause. They're not need to be helped. This is where, well, Akeno says, please, I can do it. I have friends that can heal you. This is where, well, the kid seems to not really trust her. This is where Akeno says, please, let me just trust me. This is where, well, the kid says, and why should I? This is where, well, Akeno can see the distrust that he has. It actually reminds her of herself, of how she distrusts her father. She distrusts a lot of people. She only trusted a couple people, but not many. Swear, well, Akeno kind of grabbed him from his arm and kind of puts his like arm into her chest and says, please, let me help you at least, please. I want to at least pay back my respects, please. This is where, well, the kid kind of looks at her with these eyes of, fine. Just because he's already too bothered enough with what's it called, her just straight up trying to seduce him or whatever. This is where, well, she kind of like squeals a little bit and says, thank you. This is where, well, she basically drags him towards mostly the apartment. And this is where, well, this person's apartment was a little bit up, mostly on top of another floor, mostly above her, but yeah. This is where, well, how can I say, so, can I see your scarring? This is where, well, he shows his arms, and of course, like, shows his face and his eyes, and yeah. And also his chest has it. This is where, well, she went her eyes and see how much burnt skin he has. This is where Akeno tries to heal him. This is where, well, she tries her best, but she's not good as like Azia Argento because she's able to, well, have a sacred gear. This is where, well, Akeno is trying her hardest, but she can't. This is where the kid says, so, what's your name? Again, I don't remember. I didn't even care about asking, did I? This is where, well, Akeno kind of blushes a little bit and say, my name is Akena. This is where, well, not Akena, yeah, Akena. This is where, well, the older kid, mostly the same age, probably the same age as Akena, well, Akeno, kind of says, so your name's Akeno. This is where, what does she have last name? I don't remember. This is where, well, her name's Akeno, well, Akeno, well, I'm gonna call it Akeno Heijima or something like that. This is where, well, the other kid says, or mostly other kid says, well, fine, then I'll tell you my name. My name is Issei. This is where, well, he didn't really lie because he would have said, well, he said Dabi first, but this is where Akeno says Dabi. Yeah, that sounds like a fake name. The other kid, now known as Issei, because he did say his now actual name, Issei, he actually started trusting her because it doesn't seem, well, she seems to be also having distrust issues with other people. Because, well, yeah, he remembers the fact that he did kind of help her. This is where, well, Issei said, so, you're actually much older, and I guess you're now a devil. This is where, well, I'm gonna kind of a little bit grins, actually happy to know that Issei does know about the supernatural. This is where, well, Issei said, what have you been helping me for? This is where, well, what is your purpose? This is where, well, how can I say, I only wanted to help you because you helped me when I was younger. I thought if I do the same, you and I could. This is where her face becomes pinkish a little bit. This is where, well, Issei seems confused. Issei said, well, since I don't really understand you, can you finish that whole sentence? Akeno say, she seems very blushing, and of course, is where, well, it's not like her to kind of blush, but of course, seeing Issei, also known as Dabi, well, mostly his code name was Dabi, but of course, is where, well, this is where, well, she is, what's it called, 18 years old, I should mention, but yeah, this is where, well, she says, well, yeah, she's right now stuttering, but yeah, this is where Issei seems to be also 18 years old, but he's actually 5'9", not what's it called, 5'10" or anything, he's 5'9", that's where he looks at her, and this is where, well, she is trying to stutter out her words, and this is where, well, Issei finished the words, this is where he says, you're basically trying to tell me you want to be my girlfriend and I'll be your boyfriend. This is where, well, Akeno's face becomes all red and say, how did you? Issei says, I'm not dumb. Why did you want that anyway? Clearly, I'm not the nice person. I'm not the greatest looking. And truly, in all, I'm not a gentleman. That's where, oh, Akeno says, well, maybe because your wounds kind of are similar to my wounds. You're basically similar to me. This is where, well, she kind of says, very blushingly, this is where, well, Issei says, prove it then. You're just a devil, aren't you? How many wounds do you have? I mean, from other side than those people trying to kill you when you were younger. This is where, well, we go into mostly, she was like 9 years old when she was actually about to try to be killed by people. And this is where, well, she says, well, kind of just like people tried to kill me. I'm guessing that you were also going through that same kind of pain. That's why you killed the old man and mostly these the other people. Issei said, kind of, maybe. Yeah, maybe. This is where, well, I'm gonna say, so am I right? Issei said, sure. This is where, well, I'm gonna take it. This is where, well, Issei, I should mention, he's also 18 and says, this is where, well, so you were 9 years old when that happened? That's what Akeno says, yeah. Say, yeah, how old were you again? 9. This is where Akeno widened her eyes, realizing that Issei was more skilled than her than she was 9 years old. She kind of smiles a little bit, saying, this is where she then asked a question in her head. How didn't riser flames didn't even affect you? Issei said, cause I control a hotter flames than he can do. And if that's really his name, then damn. That fried chicken really sucks at using his flames. Is there Akeno kind of giggles, saying, really? We're calling him fried chicken? Well, isn't that what a phoenix is? This is where he kind of just said. This is where Akeno sweat drops and says, yeah, now that I think of it, kind of. This is where he says that. See, I told you. This is where, well, Akeno kind of smiles and says, well, I can see that you're now smiling a little bit. Issei kind of realizes he's actually smiling. This is where Issei says, you might be the actual first person that actually made me kind of smile a little bit. This is where Akeno realized that that's actually a compliment in its own rights, realizing that Issei has never actually smiled. Actually, he never actually smiled ever since he was younger. This is where Akeno's the only one that actually accomplished that. This is where, well, Akeno says, wow, so I must be really lucky. Issei says, sure, you are, I guess. This is where, well, Akeno says, yeah, well, I think it's getting dark enough. You can go back to your apartment. This is where, well, he realized his wounds doesn't hurt that much. I mean, it was already hurting, it was already painful enough, but it stopped hurting after a while. This is where, well, Issei kind of just said, I feel like the wounds actually gross you out, doesn't it? This is where Akeno says, no, it doesn't. This is where, well, Issei said, maybe this will be better. This is where, with his other hand, instead of his left hand, he'd been using his left hand with fire. His right hand right now had this icy mist kind of color. And this is where, oh, he touches his wounds, and right now ice appears all around it. This is where, well, all around his wounds, only his wounds. Even his eyes, he kind of touch. This is where, well, Issei kind of grins and saying, do I look much better or what? This is where, well, Akeno, her face was nothing but red because, well, Issei has two elements. One is cremation burn, mostly blue flames, and of course, this is where the other one is actually ice, called Sub-Zero. That's what it's called, okay? Yeah, I'm calling it Sub-Zero. This is where, well, Akeno says, wow, I didn't expect it to be a dual element user. But can I ask you one question? Why can't I sense magic from it? Issei says, This is where he grins a little bit more with this evil, vicious smile and says, well, you can say that I'm not normal. I was actually born to be unnormal. Actually, I don't even know what I am. I'm not a fallen angel. I'm not an angel. I'm not a devil. I definitely ain't I'm not any other species. I guess you can say I'm a mutation. A mutation human that actually allows me to use abilities without magic. So where, well, Akeno says, I see. Wow. This is where, well, Issei says, just like how you're a hybrid. This is where, well, she widened her eyes and said, how do you know about that? Issei said, well, I can sense the magic between a devil and a fallen angel, just like you are. This is where, well, she says, oh, wow. That and I remember the old fart saying that you were like a hybrid of a fallen angel and a human, so I guess you're now fallen angel and human. This is where mostly fallen angel and devil now. This is where she switches off and says, "Wow, I'm guessing you don't know how to use magic, do you?" Hell no. Issei said very casually, kind of hell no. And this is where, well, she switches off and says, "Wow, you really suck at magic. Okay. Uh, do you want me to train you?" This is where, well, Issei says, sure, I have nothing else to do. This is where, well, Akeno says, "What kind of school do you go to?" This is where she says casually. Issei says, none. Actually, I have never went to school ever in my life. So, yeah, none. This is where Akeno turns around and just sweat drops. Like, what? You never went to a school in your life? This is where Issei says, maybe it was when I was 4, but I can't really remember that much stuff. Issei kind of chuckles a little bit. Very, just a sweat drop of a chuckle, but yeah. This is where, well, Akeno says, that's not really good for you. You're gonna have to learn stuff. Issei says, no thanks. I already learned enough stuff in the street, so I'm good. Sir Akeno says, is that why you don't have friends? Issei says, don't need friends. Well, other than that, I mean, aren't you my first friend or something? This is where Akeno's face becomes a little red and say, I guess so. This is where, well, Issei says, well, good enough. See, I made a friend. And maybe more, I guess you can say. Issei's face becomes a little pink now that he thinks about it. This is where Akeno's face is nothing but red. This is where Issei says, well, I gotta be going. This is where he goes to his apartments and yeah. Now, how is Issei supposed to pay off the apartments for the, what's it called, rent and other stuff? Well, he has lots of money. How? He's been robbing people his entire life. So yeah. This is where, well, the next day happens, and of course, Akeno kind of brings Issei towards the school, Kuoh Academy. Now, of course, where, well, Issei is all covered up. This is where, well, he says, is this really necessary that I have to put an illusion or something? Akeno mostly puts it around Issei. Yeah. This is where Issei has black hair. Well, see, from the illusion, he has black hair. And, well, not mostly Akeno didn't put the illusion. Issei did it by himself. Because, well, Akeno wanted to teach him something real fast, mostly illusion, to see if he would get it. If not, she would basically put the illusion over him. But realize how adapted and easier Issei managed to put magic around him. This is where, well, she widened her eyes and how fast he learned. Pretty much he learned in only a couple of seconds after kind of showing him how to do it. Issei did it. He kind of has, well, a clean, smooth, kind of pale skin face that he shows. He has, well, his eyes are kind of brown, which Akeno is just saddened because, well, it'd rather be blue, like a tealish blue, which he then changes to tealish blue. Black hair, black jet hair. And of course, well, his skin underneath, mostly like underneath his clothes, are just his pale skin, not his, what's it called, wounds. But yeah, and this is where he still does have piercings. This is where there's nothing gonna change him from not having piercings in his ear. This is where, well, Akeno says, well, you look good. I think you're gonna have to just wear casual clothes and not look like that. What's wrong with these clothes? He kind of just shows off his, like, black clothing. A lot of things. First of all, you look straight up like a gangster, a criminal, and you look like someone that would have murdered people and not be caught at all. That's right, Issei says. Well, you can say that. Or, well, yeah, you can say that. But these clothing are kind of fire resistant. That's where she's like, wait, what? They are? Issei says, yeah, that's why the fried chicken didn't really burn me at all, or my clothing. Huh. Are they seriously fire resistant? Yeah, I kind of got them from someone, and yeah, they're the only clothes that doesn't really burn after I kind of combust into blue flames. This is where, well, she says, well, put an illusion over the clothes then. This is where she shows how to do it, and this is where Issei does it. He's wearing a black kind of long sleeve, even though it's basically his, what's it called, coat. Is what's it called, a white shirt underneath, but yeah. And of course, he wanted to wear black fingerless gloves, but of course, Akeno stopped him. He's wearing black pants and of course, black shoes. So where black shoes are basically not his black boots, he actually did have black shoes. That's where, well, she says, well, it looked great, I guess. This is where, well, she has a small tint of blush to herself. This is where, well, Issei said, I guess so. This is where, well, they start going to Kuoh Academy. And of course, when they get there, a bunch of people are just kind of glaring at Issei right now with this murderous intent, saying, damn, he's going with one of the most popular females, blah, 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 blah. The girls are saying, who's Akeno senpai going with? This is where so many girls are kind of blushing and seeing Issei. Issei says, they would not be blushing if they saw my true-like face. Akeno says, I don't know about that. She right now has a tint of blush because she likes either way. She doesn't care. This is where, well, he then hears, mostly Issei hears the guys, and this is where Issei's hand was twitching, really wanted to burn them. This is where, well, not Rias, Akeno stopped them from actually doing that. This is where, well, Akeno says, you don't need to burn them, you don't need to burn them. This is where, well, she needed to calm down Issei, but yeah. This is where, well, when they get to the office of what's called the, the counselor's office, he kind of just said his name was Issei Hiro, and this is where, well, Sona was nodding. This is where Sona was the only one there, and saw, what's it called, Akeno there, but of course she didn't question that much. And this is where, well, she nodded, and this is where she basically gave him the uniform and, well, his schedule. But yeah, this is where, well, Sona kind of questioned Akeno why she's here. This is where Akeno kind of had to make an excuse, saying that she's here helping out this person because, yeah. This is where, well, Sona glanced at the person and for some reason gets reminded of that same dude that fucked up her Phoenix. This is where, well, Sona says, you do know you're gonna have to be next to Rias. She told me that, well, mostly Gracie told me that, well, you guys have 10 days to train because, well, the rating is going to happen. This is where, well, she then glances at the boy and says, you know you can get rid of that illusion. I already know who you are. You're Issei Hiro, yes, that might be your real name, but you might be the same boy that beat the shit of Riser. Issei, like, shows off his, like, actual true form. This is where, well, Akeno says, sorry about that, I tried to lie. This is where, well, Sona says, yeah, I knew that you tried to do that. Why, though? This is where, well, Akeno says, about that, this is where, well, Issei said bluntly, because she's my girlfriend. This is where Sona, she spits out and says, what? She, like, takes a double take and say, what? This is where, well, Akeno's face is all red and says, yeah. This is where, well, Sona is just dumbfounded, shocked, and just amazed. And even dumber fact from the fact that Issei said it so bluntly. This is where, well, Akeno is nothing but blushing redly. This is where, this is where Sona says, I see. So you're basically trying to keep it for you're trying to keep him for yourself, Akeno. Trying to make Rias not find out so she wouldn't try to do anything crazy. This is where, Akeno says, yeah. This is where, well, Sona says, so how long have you two been dating for? 1 day. This is where, both of them said at the same time. Sona looks dumbfounded. What? This is where, well, they kind of explain and how they met a little bit. This is where Sona got the information and basically just realized that they basically met each other when they were 9. But Issei was kind of beating the shit out of, like, some temple guards. Literally combusting to blue flames. But yeah, this is where, well, she says, still, those flames are amazing, Sona said, very quietly, but of course, Akeno managed to hear it, and even Issei. Akeno kind of blushes and says, yeah, they are. This is where, well, Sona did have a little small tint of blush, and this is where Issei managed to catch it, but he didn't really say anything. This is where, well, Akeno says, oh, let's go, Issei. This is where, well, she kind of grabs Issei from the coat and, like, left. But yeah, that's where Issei puts on his illusion, but yeah. They get to the ORC, but yeah. This is where, well, Issei says, are you sure we gotta do this? I don't think this is my fight entirely to fight the fried chicken. That's where Akeno says, please, at least help my friend. I know she might be a little stubborn, spoiled on other things, like a little brat half the time, but she's a good person. She's very kind and other things. Please? He says, I don't want to be transformed to the devil. maybe there's another way where you don't need to be transformed into a devil. I think there is a way. So, yeah, please. Sir Issei said, fine. This is where, well, Issei said with a cold emotionless tone, but yeah. When Akeno managed to get towards the ORC, this is where, well, Rias said, why didn't you answer your calls? This is where she kind of questioned Akeno. Akeno says, because I was getting, well, this is where Issei says, basically she was getting me. He walks through the door. This is where his illusion is already kind of like cracking and just tearing apart. This is where, well, showing off his true form. This is where, well, mostly everyone utters their eyes, and this is where, well, they look at Akeno. Akeno's face is all red. This is where, well, Rias kind of widened her eyes, seeing her queen kind of be blushing around the boy that basically fucked over Riser. Literally, kind of burned his ass. This is where, well, Rias said, I see. Well, that's good to know that she found you. So I want you to kind of, this is where Issei says, before you go on, Gremory, I want to tell you something. First, the reason why I'm helping you is because my girlfriend Akeno wanted to tell me to help you. Akeno's face becomes even more red. This is where Rias becomes even kind of a tint of blushing, like, what? This is where, well, everyone says, huh? This is where Issei then goes on with the second rule. I don't want to be transformed into a devil, so give me a piece where it look like I'm in your team, but I don't want to be turned into a servant. So there's my second rule. And my third rule is, let me beat the shit out of the fried chicken. This is where, well, Rias nodded. There's actually a way for him not to be transformed to a devil. Mostly using, mostly asking what's called Sursax and Gracefully if there's a way. But yeah, I mean, there is one. But this is where, well, she's pretty shocked. The first shocking thing is Akeno. Second is, he doesn't want to be turned into a servant / devil or anything. And third, he basically wants to just beat the shit out of Riser. This is where Rias says, I see. Well, there's a way. Yeah. Yeah. This is where, well, she kind of accepted all those terms, and of course, this is where, well, mostly all those reasons. It's like, yeah, sure. This is where, well, Issei says, okay, good. Then when are we leaving to go towards the training? This is where, well, Rias says, yeah. She can't really process all this information. Everyone is confused also. This is where, well, Kiba says, congrats, I guess, Akeno? Senpai? That's not Akeno says, yeah. This is where her face is nothing but red. Kaneko says, Kiba, I don't think it's a good idea to say something like that. This is where, well, Kiba says, eh? This is where, well, Asuya is kind of blushing like, what? Because she doesn't know this much information about this guy, but if she can remember right, this guy did kind of go into like the fallen base, mostly where the church is at, and literally burn all the fallen angels, except one, and mostly that's one of her secret friends. This is where, well, her name was, well, Rainer, and Rainer was actually a fallen angel that didn't really want to kill Asuya, and was actually a spy for, well, Azel, but yeah. Issei was there literally burning all the fallen angels to a crispy chickens, or mostly crispy crows. This is where, well, Issei didn't really care. He only got there just because, well, someone asked him and would pay him nicely, which he did get paid, but yeah. Mostly a guy with blondish hair and what's it called, blackish hair at the same time paid him, but yeah, he didn't question, he didn't ask questions, he didn't give a crap. But yeah, this is where, well, we go into Rias and the others into 10 days later. This is where, well, Issei has trained with the others, and of course all of them are winding their eyes on how powerful his blue flames are, and the fact that he can use ice. Kiba, every time he fight against Issei, trying to dodge his blue flames, and when he got closer, he was frozen still. When Koneko did the same thing, she was frozen still. When Akeno tried to fight him from long range, Issei just easily destroyed her lightning by using his blue flames. This is where, well, when Rias kind of fights against Issei, he didn't really hold back against Rias because he thought she was the strongest, so basically she was almost burned to almost a lot of times. This is where when Asuya didn't really fight against Issei, mostly tried to heal his wounds. His kind of burnt skin wounds. This is where, well, his skin wounds were actually being healed. And this is where, well, he didn't really need the stitches, those metal stitches around his body no more, because his skin was actually being repaired. This is where, well, he actually did kind of take them out, mostly ripping them out, but this is where, well, Ozzy didn't really want to keep doing that, but so of course just mostly remove them after a while, but yeah. This is where, well, Issei was kind of getting his chest freshly healed, and some of the burned kind of skin that was on his legs, but yeah. This is where, well, mostly every time he uses blue flames around that kind of heal part, mostly that heal part of, that was burned flesh, it doesn't actually burn no more. No longer actually showing a burn mark. Instead, his skin is already tough enough with the blue flames that he used most of the time. Doesn't work well. That and also his ice makes it much easier so he doesn't accidentally burn himself. Doesn't work well. We go into the time skip, and of course, Issei is using a proxy piece of what's it called? A pawn. Mostly 8 proxy pieces of pawns that he is in the tournament, but yeah, he's like the 8 piece of pawns and other things. And this is where, well, everyone is now in the raiding games. This is where, well, Issei is tasked to kind of go defeat some of the pawns because he's the strongest. This is where Issei nodded and gets outside. This is where, well, we go into Issei kind of going to the gym. This is where, well, Riser sent all his pawns there and even a rook there just to kind of fight against the pawn piece, also known as Dabi. Yes, his code name is Dabi. He didn't show his real name. So, of course, this is where Riser's pissed at Dabi. But, yeah. This is where when Issei meets the 8 pawns and even rook, this is where, well, what's called, mostly Konako was coming along. And this is where, well, just to make sure that Issei doesn't get wrecked by the 8 pawns, but she thinks that he will handle it pretty easily when he's already broken enough. This is where, well, Issei kind of walks towards what's called the rooks and, well, mostly the rook and pawns. This is where they rush at Issei, thinking that they will all be able to gang up on him. And this is where Issei says, cremation, cremation burst. This is where his hand cremated into, well, burst into flames. And right now, send it straight towards all of them. Right now, easily eliminating them all. This is where they're all eliminated in an instant. This is where, well, everyone is just shocked. This is where, Riser was dumbfounded. He feels like he's gonna lose. He said, fuck this life, because literally, he thinks he won't be able to go against Issei that well. This is where, well, Konako, she noticed that she didn't really need it to help Issei that much. Until the rook managed to, well, one of the rooks didn't manage to get eliminated. Mostly from the 8 pawn pieces. This is where she then sends a punch at Issei. Issei catches that shit. Right now, flips her over her back. And this is where he then makes his, right hand transform into an ice spear and stab upon her. Elimination. This is where Konako says, holy shit, never mind. Yeah, Issei did promote himself to rook just to kind of, well, not promote himself to rook, mostly caught that piss pretty easily. He didn't really need to promote himself to rook or anything like that. This is where, well, Issei keeps going on, but yeah. This is where, we go into the outside. Konako was about to get hit by explosions, until Issei kind of launches his hand up in the air and destroying all the explosion magic thanks to its flames. This is where, well, Konako says, oh my, I'm gonna be fighting against the Explosion Queen. The Explosion Queen says, I guess I'll be fighting against you. This is where, well, before something else, an ice spear manages to stab into her arm. This is where she won her eyes. This is where, well, she had to take it out and then put some phoenix tears in it. This is where she growls at Issei. Issei says, knew it. Something about that. I should have known too much well that the queen would have phoenix tears. This is where Issei starts kind of, well, making a lot of ice spears appear right next to him. Thanks to his magic, he can kind of control its quirk a little bit. This is where, well, he says ice spears have heavily thrown. This is where, well, so many ice spears were sent straight to the queen, and the queen can barely dodge them all. This is where some of the ice spears all are mostly thrown around her, and she's managing to dodge because she's kind of seeing that they're all kind of near her. And this is where Akeno realizes what Issei's doing. This is where she sent lightning, and this is where, well, Issei then sends fire at the ice. This is where, well, the ice melts, and this is where lightning hits it. This is where the bomb queen is now eliminated. This is where, well, Riser widened his eyes and realized that his queen is eliminated. Fuck! This is where Akeno kind of smiles and just smiles towards Issei. Issei says, yeah, I guess you can see that teamwork is probably helpful. This is where, well, he says that very quietly and Akeno kind of giggles a little bit, but yeah. This is where Akeno sees how both mostly both her senpais are pretty much easily able to work pretty easily together. Thanks to Akeno's magic of lightning, and thanks to the fact that Issei can see her sadistic side most of the time, and use what they call his ice and what they call fire together. This is where, well, she is scared, really scared of both of them. One is sadistic and the other one is cold and ruthless. This is where, well, she's not trying to piss off either Issei senpai or even Akeno senpai. But yeah. And of course, she's even more scared. Well, not that scared. She's actually happy that Issei isn't a pervert, but really cold and ruthless. This is where, well, because every time they did spar against him, mostly Kiba and her, went against Issei, yeah, no, Issei didn't hold back even a little bit. Well, kind of. He didn't really want to kill them with his fire. So, of course, mostly uses ice. But at the same time, they would have been frozen to absolute zero if Issei didn't hold back. This is where, well, yeah, Koneko is actually scared of him and Akeno, but yeah, even though she is a rook and she should be strong defense and power, yeah, no, Issei can literally just deflect all that. He's not, what's it called, just full of, what's it called, using his quirks. Well, see, his two quirks, ice and fire. But they don't really need to know that that's what it's called. But pretty much, he's also pretty good in taijutsu and even using two swords. He did fight against Kiba with two swords, and Kiba absolutely got wrecked. This is where, Issei is now going straight, well, mostly to see Kiba fighting against the two knights and managing to defeat them, but yeah. But this is where, well, because he managed to train and actually use two swords at once to fight against the two knights pretty easily. Even he tried to use three sword style, but that didn't really work. So of course Issei appeared, right now blocking a sword from a knight by using, well, a sword that's black, like fully black, has this yellow goldenish eye in the, what's it called, hilt of the sword. And of course, having the blade instead of being black was as yellow, like a yellowish goldenish color. This is where he managed to just cut through the blade and stab the knight. This is where Kiba managed to stab towards the other knight. This is where Kiba says, thanks, Issei senpai. Issei says, stop calling me senpai, Jesus Christ, no. This is where, well, Akeno kind of giggles, but yeah. This is where Rias and the others kind of appear. This is where Raffle and Riser appears, but of course, where another bishop appears, and another rook. This is where Riser says, Rias! This is where Issei steps in front of her and says, I'll be fighting you, dumb fuck. This is where, well, what's it called? Riser's face is burned even healed enough. He still has some burn marks. He looks uglier than possible than what's called original canon, but yeah. This is where, well, Riser glares at Issei with these daggers of murderous killer intent. Issei just glares at him back without a care in the world. This is where, well, Rias kind of blushes because, yes, Issei stepped in front of her, but not because he did it out of just caring. No, just because he wanted to fight against Riser. This is where, well, Riser says, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to enjoy killing you. Issei says, yeah. You can keep telling yourself that. But I have something secret and planned that I really didn't tell anyone. This is where, well, Riser says, what? What's that? What's a battle between a fire chicken versus a dragon going to do? This is where, well, Riser says, what are you talking about? Boost! This is where, well, a sacred gear appears right now on Issei's right hand arm. This is where everyone wind their eyes. This is where, well, the Red Dragon Emperor. This is where Rias, Akeno, everyone wind their eyes. Issei been holding this on for a while. And of course, this is where, well, he's just grinning at Riser. This is where Riser kind of pissed himself a little bit, realizing that Issei's the Red Dragon Emperor. He's already dangerous enough with his flames and ice, but now realizing that he's the Red Dragon Emperor, he's like, oh shit, I fucked up. He thinks in his head. This is where Issei says, oh, Riser, don't believe yourself that you fucked up. Don't worry, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just going to hurt you so bad that you're gonna fucking be crying. This is where Riser says, and you think you can defeat me? Huh? You realize I'm this is where Issei says, Drake, can you boost about like 10 times? This is where Drake says, boost. This is where, well, Riser says, huh? Did you just say 10 times? Issei says, transfer 5 boosts into my cremation and 5 boosts into Sub-Zero. This is where, well, Issei's flames, his blue flames turn into purple flames. Right now hurting him a little bit, but his ice also transform into such a cold-ass temperature of ice. This is where Issei says, don't worry, Riser, you're going to be in good hands. This is where, well, he then asks Drake to another 2 boosts just to transform it to his legs. This is where he does, and this is where Issei lunges straight towards Riser without a care in the world. Right now, grabbing his face and igniting the purple flames into Riser. This is where, well, the purple flames hurted him, but this is where Issei then stomps his feet, his right leg, into the ground. Right now, freezing Riser's legs in place so he wouldn't be able to transform out of it or get out of the way. This is where Issei then punches him in the stomach, stabbing him with ice. This is where, well, Issei says, shut up, Riser, you don't need to scream. This is where Riser is trying to get away. This is where he's actually feeling pain, much more terrifying pain. This is where Issei then covers his mouth with ice, making sure that he won't give up any time. Issei has this psychotic, evilish, murderous grin that he won't let Riser give up too easily. He's going to torture him. He has a sadistic side. He's been with Akeno for a while, so of course he has a very sadistic side. Mostly 10 days, and Akeno managed to actually bring out his sadistic side. But yeah, this is where, well, Riser widens his eyes, and we go to about 10 seconds later, and of course Riser on the ground, all burnt up. This is where, well, he's right now scared, crying, but yeah. Of course, he was also eliminated because, yeah, his whole body's all burnt. Of course, his flesh needs to be healed in an instant. Of course, Issei's hand is right now burnt flesh also. But of course, he managed to cover it with the ice. And of course, tried to heal his other hand because his other hand has, permanent frostbite. And of course, he uses both of his hands just to heal up. But yeah, this is where I also want to heal him just to check on his, well, burned hand and just frozen hand. But yeah. This is what Raffle and the others just no. Absolute the fuck no. The reason why they said no is because Riser did have the Phoenix Tears, and Issei just drank them just to kind of use more power and get more stamina, just to hurt him more. But of course, this is where Rias managed to stop him, but yeah. Now, Akeno says, my, Rias, why will you stop it? This is where Rias says, didn't really have to make him sadistic. Issei stopped after a while, but yeah, this is where, well, Grace of Issei's Rias Grummery has won, and her Parage has won also. This is where, well, everyone in their eyes, even was called Riser's dad, he's like, ooh, yeah, dude. That's where, well, Riser's dad looked at Rias' father, and says, yeah, your daughter got some kind of psychopath to fuck over my son. Yeah, good luck with that. I'm not going to bring such a psychopath into my house. This is where he says. This is where, well, Raffle wiped her eyes, but she was a little bit tinted blush because she liked the purple flames from Issei. And how Issei did just manhandle Riser pretty easily. This is where, well, we go into mostly a time skip after, well, a while. There's mostly a festival today. Or mostly not today, mostly a festival for it, and kind of everyone was there silent and stunned. The fact that Issei was there and wearing just casually black clothing, like he didn't need to wear a suit or anything. Akeno is next to him, always complaining to him, saying, why didn't you wear a suit? You even had an option to wear a suit. Issei said, because casual clothing is much better. Not that I don't actually know how to wear a suit. This is where he kind of said embarrassingly, but this is where Akeno kind of giggles, but yeah. This is where, well, Koneko and Kiba and Issei were just there, kind of just shocked to believe that Issei is a badass in battle. It's very skilled. He's also a battle genius and other things because he did also plan, gave information and plan, Rias to kind of like plan a lot of things, and he's actually pretty good and genius and other things. And with magic, he's actually pretty good and genius. That's how he uses ice spears with his ice quirk, but yeah. But the one thing he sucks at is being proper. Not knowing how to kind of wear a suit and other things. This is where Issei kind of chuckles a little bit, but yeah, he's just nervously kind of chuckles. But yeah, this is where Rias is wearing a red dress, and of course, she is very happy. This is where she asked Dabi to kind of come over here to meet her brother, who is Sir Zax, the king of the devils. But yeah, This is where, well, almost he only has that title, but yeah. Issei, he doesn't really know how to, what's it called, like, bow down or properly or that. He just says something. This is where Issei kind of pull out his hand just to, well, kind of give him a high five or something. Like, Issei doesn't give a shit that much about handshake or anything proper. So Rias smacks her head, realizing that Issei really doesn't know anything proper. This is where Issei says, yeah, I hope your sister? This is where Issei kind of said that. This is where, well, what's it called? Sir Zack says, you really don't know anything about proper manners, do you? Nope. But other than that, I'm done with this barrage. I just meant to help her once, and that's all. No more rating games for me. This is where, well, Sir Zack is confused. Yeah, this is where Rias kind of tells Sir Zack that he basically just has what's called these pieces that aren't really with him. They're just a lie, but yeah. Sir Zack realized that well, it would have been really sketchy if he actually would have died, because he would have died actual for real, because he doesn't have any of the evil pieces with him. Because he's basically just lying the fact that he's with Rias Parage, but really not really. Yes, well, he then says at least he didn't die and didn't get wounded that much. But yeah, this is where, oh, she then kind of tells the car Issei and Rias to kind of get on long, mostly in the Griffin, and Issei says, nah, I'm good, I'll be kind of going back with Akeno, but yeah, Rias kind of saddened, but yeah, because Issei, he doesn't really like Rias that much, but yeah, she kind of doesn't really, she kind of sucked at kind of like thinking a lot of things, and Issei, yeah, he's not interested in Rias that much, but for right now, I'm going to end it off here for part 1 of What If Issei Was the Reincarnation of Dabi. Part 1. Ice and fire. No, I'm just kidding. But other than that, bye.